So at this point, let's take a look. We've gotten it from small to big, so it's moving forward. Now it kind of switches, so it kind of stays still, does a look right and a look left, and then it hops off stage. So it's moving forward, it encounters you, takes a gander at you, and then hops off. Alright, so that switch from he's hopping and then all of a sudden we want him to stop moving. We're going to handle that next. So back to our working file. You could conceivably do this on the same layer, but you know, I like to use different layers. And I'm just going to copy this, and I want this to be pasted here. And I want this at this point to be a new point of change. So I'm going to press F6, and that's going to prevent it from being pasted here on frame 1. I want it pasted here on frame 45. And I'm going to press Apple Shift V. Click and let go of that and move it one step forward. And then I'm just going to get some frames here so we can see what we're talking about. Alright, so I want this to jump up here and then stop. But if you look, it's going to keep bouncing because that's a graphic, and inside that graphic it bounces. So it's going to keep bouncing unless we tell it not to, which we can. So I'm going to click that graphic and go up to the properties palette here. And if you look down here, it says looping. And if you're having some problems with your graphics not acting the way you think it should, sometimes it's with this little option down here. So if you look under looping, you can say play once, and that would just play once and stop moving. Or we can say single frame, which means just land on the single frame, just stay on that single frame. And you can actually choose which frame you want to. So if you wanted it halfway, say at frame 5, it would end at frame 5. We're just going to say frame 1. So let's take a look at how that looks. Looks pretty good, but a little abrupt. He's a springy character, and I doubt he would just stop. Boom. So let's fix that. So let's take a look at the finished example real quick. He bounces in, and then at this point at the swap, he does a little squash down and then stops. So that's done by just some trickery. This is actually not the same graphic as the jumping one. So we're going to create a new graphic. Easier than it sounds. I'm going to grab that. Let's go to the library, and that's called Pogo Jump. So what I want to do is just copy that Pogo Jump and then manipulate the copy rather than having to recreate it. Alright, so I'm going to duplicate this. I can do it two ways. I can right click or control click and choose duplicate. There's also a sub menu in the library, which I'll have to move flash to show you. You can go down here and say duplicate. So most Windows have a little sub menu with more options. So I'm going to choose duplicate, and I'm going to name this Pogo Stop. And then let's go ahead and move flash back here. Alright, so now I have a duplicated graphic that I can use. So at this point right now, this is logo or Pogo Jump. So let's go to properties, click the Pogo Jump, properties, and choose this little swap button, and then we'll swap it for Pogo Stop. That way when we edit it, we've got one that's jumping and then one that's stopping. Okay, so let's go ahead and edit this Pogo Stop. So it'll just do kind of one down and then stop. Alright, so let's double click inside this. Make sure you're in the stopped version. You can tell by just clicking it. It says Pogo Stop here in the properties. If you're one frame over, you might accidentally ruin your Pogo Jump. So be careful of that. So double click inside that, and essentially I would recommend just kind of redoing this because it's pretty simple. So I'm going to remove the tween of the top and the bottom, and then I'm just going to get rid of some frames because it doesn't need to exist for as long as that. So I'm going to click, hold, and drag. If I click and let go and then I start dragging, it thinks I want to move a frame. So I don't want to do that. I want to click, hold, and drag to frame 11 and press Shift F5. Then I'm kind of ready to redo that animation. The only thing that moves in this one is the top, so I'll create a motion tween and then move this down and then move it back up. I don't know exactly where that was at. Looks like this little X was about at the pogo bars. So it'll just move down and back up. Okay, so let's look at that. It bounces and it's still stopping. So it bounces and it's still just not moving. So if we remember, we changed that here under the looping option. So I got to click that, and then I just say play once, and I want it to start on the first frame. And so as you can see, it bounces, squashes down, and then stops. So let's test that. Okay, good. From here on, I think you're have been exposed to the appropriate skills to finish out the animation. So go ahead and finish that out. If you've got time, go ahead and do some more with Mr. Pogo Stick, and good luck.